Welcome
to the Mariah Report.
I'm Martin Burgess.
I'm Dan Enriquez.
Today we're doing a special Back in time, but
a tribute Back in Time.
Yeah, but technically it's Back in Time.
Yeah. We can call whatever we want.
Yes, but we lost the great Aretha Franklin this week. Mm-hmm. So we decided that, she's a big part of Mariah's life, and we know that.
A huge inspiration to Mariah and millions of others.
Musicians. And anyone who's a singer. So, of course, we want to tribute Aretha. We love Aretha, too.
Yes, honey. A rose is still a rose.
Uh-huh.
You all better rock steady, baby.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
Hello.
Iconic song.
Yes.
Anyways.
I think everyone has grown up on Aretha, so we all know.
Well, she's a legacy artist.
One way or another.
Yeah.
So
she's going to be, Mariah's going to have the same effect on people. People are going to start remembering the songs when they're growing up. Uh-huh. They're going to, remember that Aretha was always there, just like Mariah's always been there.
Yes, that's how it is.
Yeah.
That's how it is. And so Mariah and Aretha had a great connection. They became very good friends or friendly with one another because there was mutual respect.
Yes.
And so that's why we're going to do this episode. And we're going to talk about moments. We're going to talk about things. And we have an Aretha Franklin connoisseur.
We do.
Who is going to join us.
Yes.
And talk all things Aretha, because we might know Mariah really well, but I can't go far back on Aretha. I
too.
I know the classics. I'll be singing them. I'll be jamming out. But I don't know Aretha's story.
No, me either. I mean? So we have to outsource.
Exactly.
So welcome back to the show, friend to the show, Andrew Martone.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, welcome back, Andrew.
You may remember Andrew. He is a friend to the show. He did our VH1's 1998 Divas Live.
Yeah, he joined us for that.
Again, because we needed someone who knew a little bit more.
Which was also Aretha heavy, that episode.
Yeah. I mean, she was essentially the
Yes.
headliner of the 98 Divas.
Yeah.
So it's Anyway, so he joined us for that, and now he's back, and he's going to give us all the Aretha tea that we have never known or had, because we did a little pre-show. I was like, girl, what?
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea. So we're going to learn some new things. We're going to talk about some old moments, and it's going to be a fun time, all in tribute to Aretha.
So Aretha passed away this weekend. I didn't really know she was that sick. Did you? Did the fans know?
So I had a feeling that last year she started to look not well, and her final performance was at an AIDS benefit, an Elton John AIDS benefit in November here in Manhattan. And when I saw the photos of her, I gasped, because I looked at her and she just, her weight had fluctuated over the years, and she was really, really heavy for a while, and then she lost a lot of the weight, which again was believed to have been in part because she had been ill, but then she had kind of leveled out, and she was, in a good spot weight wise. And she just looked so thin, but not a healthy, she looked gaunt and she looked sickly, and it was just very concerning. And then there were 6 shows scheduled this year. I had tickets to one of them on her birthday, and as each show approached, they were canceled and not rescheduled.
Not a good
doctor's
sign,
orders. And there have been moments where Aretha was known to, I'm not really feeling like doing this right now, so let's postpone the show and we'll do it in a couple months, or things come up and can't do them. And when they were not rescheduled, it was a bit of a thing. I took stock of that. I was aware of it. I was cognizant of it. So So I like a couple months ago, even they announced that Jennifer was going to play her in the biopic, and Aretha didn't make a comment, which I thought was not even, get on the phone and make a comment, which very, very strange for her.
Yeah.
So I had a feeling something was wrong.
You had more of an awareness of what was going on than the general
Something
public.
was up.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
Aretha Franklin is my idol, so I'm keeping up with what's going on.
So you follow her the way we follow Mariah.
Right.
Yeah. So we know every day there's something going on.
Exactly. And so, Aretha,
and we know where she is at all times.
Yes.
Right.
And Aretha is, very private person. And so she's very good at laying
She's
low.
able to go out for a couple weeks, a couple months, and no one really have
Right. But after a while, the silence became deafening. So about 2 months ago, I actually started writing the piece that I put up on EST 1997 the day that she passed. And it was it was very difficult for me, but I was like, I feel like I need to start writing this, because if this happens, I'm not going to be able to do it that day. I'm going to be completely just out. So I had a feeling, but it's still, I mean, I told you guys, like, I'm a wreck. I mean, this is my idol. So
she was your everything.
She really, really was. And for 20 years, I've been a fan of hers since I was barely 8 years old, and I'm 28 now. Mm-hmm. So, for the last 20 years, this woman has been my idol. It was my everything. I started collecting, first records I bought were Aretha records. First concert I went to was Aretha Franklin. Mm-hmm. I'm very, very fortunate to be from the greater New York City area where she visited often and performed at annually, to the point where, I saw her live, I think 13 times, 12 times.
Wow.
I'm very, very fortunate, very lucky. I'm very grateful for that. But, it's still, to think that there's not going to be another one is just, my heart, they say, your heart is heavy. And this is like one of those times when it's just, there's such a weight, and I'm heartbroken. Even though we knew, doesn't make it any
doesn't make it any easier. No, it doesn't make it, and you gotta go through the pain, and you gotta be around, celebrate her and her legacy.
Absolutely.
And I've noticed people are celebrating now out in the streets.
Yes.
You hear Aretha everywhere. I just went to see a comedy show down at Joe's Pub in the East Village, and before the show they were just playing Aretha songs. That's all they did.
Oh yeah, there's a big memorial at the Apollo Theater.
At the Beacon Theater.
Oh, at the Beacon Theater too.
Yeah, I saw that picture you put up. Yeah, it's everywhere.
People are out there showing that, she will not be forgotten.
Aretha has always been my idol, and she's always been my favorite from the moment I heard her voice. And I guess I never really stopped to think that maybe I wasn't the only person who that had that effect on. I knew that other people revered her and idolized her, and many people did, but the left field tributes I've seen, I was telling you guys, Chris Stapleton, whose music I don't know even slightly. I couldn't name you a single song. I saw today, video of him doing a cover of Aretha in tribute to her, completely left field. I was watching Gene Simmons from Kiss talk about Aretha, and the passion which he exuded as he spoke of her was jarring to me, because that's how I talk. And I was, all these left field, obviously seeing people like Mariah, or seeing, Missy, or seeing, Mary, or anybody in that realm is a given. But, then even,
right, for people to sort of come out that you would never expect to, have such, admiration for her and things.
Right.
It is. But
been so profoundly affected by her is, it just speaks to her magnitude and her place in history.
Right.
And her
reach.
And her reach, right. And I say this, don't throw me out for this, but Aretha Franklin was the greatest singer of all time.
We're not arguing.
I was going to say, I know we're not going to. I know you guys would argue with me about it, but
I can't deny it.
I do not think that there is a greater singer than Aretha.
No, one of Aretha's special things is she really could, and I think Mariah sort of, takes this on a little bit. She reaches through like genres and generations. Aretha was one of the first to do that, and I think, Mariah was inspired by that, and that's why she is able to put, also because both ladies were and are like great musicians. They have music in them. So, I think they can sort of touch everybody across the board in one way or another. And that was one of Aretha's greatest gifts.
Absolutely.
And we know that Aretha mentored Mariah, telling her how to look after her voice, like what to do, what conditions to sing in. So we know that there's that love for each other.
There really is. Now, Andrew, let's go back a little further, years and years ago. And because you say she's your idol, you discovered her, you were 8 years old. What was one of the first memories you have about Aretha, hearing her music? Like, did your parents listen to her?
You know what?
What was that moment?
It's funny because I don't remember hearing her until that first time. And maybe it was just a matter of, I was in the car with my dad, and I've never asked him why he did this, and I don't know whether or not he remembers it or not, but I don't remember. It was either Respect or I Never Loved a Man was what he put on, and he said, "Here, listen to this. I want you to listen to this and tell me what you think." And it was just immediately, it was just immediate. Like, in that moment I heard, I just heard her, and it was just that was it. That was it, and that was sold, and it's okay. This is my idol now.
And little baby Andrew was like, "This is it. This is it."
Right? Because I remember them playing. I grew up listening to, my parents would listen to, my mom loves the Stones, so listen to the Stones, the Doors, the Police and Sting solo stuff, Sade. I remember all those things being on, but never really took and granted I love all of that stuff now, but never really took an interest, but like I was taken with Aretha just from the first moment.
Yeah, I think that happens with everyone. I'm trying to think of when Aretha first came into my like vernacular, and I'm thinking it either had to be that George Michael duet, or I was thinking the other day, like, I'm from Chicago, and they filmed the Blues Brothers in Chicago. Oh. And so, like, the Blues Brothers movie was really big, and I'm thinking maybe that was the first time, because she, like, plays a waitress or something.
Yeah.
She's one of the guy's wives. She owns the...
She's in the diner.
But she does, like, the number. Yeah. And in the thing, and I think maybe that may be the first time I remember seeing her.
Yeah, for me, it was... Forrest Gump was huge. Remember the soundtrack got really big in the 60s music was back in?
Okay, right.
We had the soundtrack. Everybody was jamming out to that. And Respect is what stood out on that soundtrack. It's like, what is this? This is a jam.
That is a jam.
And that's how my Aretha door opened up.
There you go. And once that door is open for you, like, anyone who would turn away from that is like, okay, well, you must not like music at all.
You must not. You don't get it.
You don't get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I mean, she's had so many songs cover, like so many songs. Andrew, what is your favorite Aretha song? I mean, I could pick a couple, but like, you as a long time, like, what would be?
So I always said that Don't Play That Song is my favorite, and I love that piano part. I actually tracked down the sheet music from the 70s and have it.
This is a perfect segue.
I was going to jump on that segue wagon too.
Picked a better song, but because Mariah covered that song really early. But where is that song? What album was that from?
That song, it was the lead single and opening track to "Spirit in the Dark," which was 1970.
Oh, so the year Mariah was born.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We didn't even plan that.
Look at that. Look at that. So Don't Play That Song from that album. Was there any other songs from that album that we would be familiar with? Like the general
Spirit
public?
in the Dark itself is that, and that's one that she wrote. That one was big. She performed it a lot, especially back then. It was a big one that she performed. But those are the two big ones. And then there's a cover of B.B. King's "The Thrill Is Gone" on there, which is magnanimous. I mean, the woman, Aretha Franklin didn't cover songs. She took them.
Like Mariah does.
Yes. She takes them and makes them her own.
I mean, the story goes that when Jerry Wexler played Otis Redding, Aretha's version of Respect, he just listened to it and shook his head and just went, "That girl took that song from me. She took the song from me. She stole it from me. It's gone.
It's gone."
I mean, and that's she did it with basically every song she covered. It was like, no, this is Aretha's now. I mean, even I Say a Little Prayer, Dionne Warwick did it first.
Right.
You can go around the corner, which version you think I mean, obviously now you're going to hear Aretha's, but you're not going to hear Dionne sing. You're going to hear the Aretha version.
Okay, but let's go back to Don't Play That Song for Me, because us as Mariah fans, we know that from the little home video.
Well, it's basically
the first vision.
The first vision. I was trying to remember the name. I was like,
was that in the first vision?
Yes,
that
in the
was
first
what that
vision.
was called, because that was the showcase.
Yeah, the showcase.
But that was filmed, and nobody ever saw that unless you had the home video.
Well, and then at some point because I remember getting my hands on
a bootleg, like it's almost like a promo DVD of it.
No, not because I could never track down. I mean, I saw it online, but I never wanted to buy it online. But I got Don't Play That Song for Me on bear with me. This is going to take you back. But it was either Morpheus. It was probably Morpheus. I got it on.
What's that, downloading? That?
It was one of the downloading.
Oh,
like Netscape.
Okay. Morpheus or Kazaa.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yep. And so it was, I got the audio of it on one of those two.
And then what do you remember from Martin?
I got, it's a DVD of the showcase, just the showcase.
There's no interview with it?
No, it's just the concert.
So that's
But is it just the concert?
It's
like edited together from the home video?
No.
Or is it raw footage?
It's raw footage.
I have the
whole professional thing. Yeah.
And you have
You're gonna have to show
audio.
me this because I don't feel like that's.
It's in my vault in Australia. Safe.
Okay, well I know you're traveling soon.
I'll go pick it up.
Come get
it.
Yeah, because I've never seen the whole.
I never saw the whole thing either.
I have the audio though. I don't know if you guys. The audio I found it.
I think
online
I have the audio as well. I remember it just from the home video. So whenever that home video, the first vision was released, that's when I first saw it.
Oh, okay.
Because I had the VHS tape, girl.
Just the one, but it was just that song. On
No,
the home
it was
video.
the whole thing.
The whole showcase.
Well, there's a
all the songs.
Oh, okay.
But it's cut with interviews of Mariah.
Yeah.
and like behind the scenes.
It was a promotional vehicle.
Got it.
But it wasn't promotional. Like you could buy it
in the store.
In the store.
First vision.
Well, no, that's what. No, I mean a promotional in terms of like a way to help. Like purchasable, but like it was
like her album was out already,
Yeah.
even though she filmed this showcase.
Showcase was for label folk, I believe.
Yes, it was.
That's why
just for label.
That was the first time anyone saw it on the home video.
Right.
But now, was that the only time she sang that song?
Yes,
the only time, right?
Well, no, the way that she frames it as I was doing a couple of showcases and I needed to add another, so there might have been done more than once.
This last song was originally recorded by the incomparable Aretha Franklin. I was doing some showcases with just piano and background singers, and I needed an extra song, so I added Don't Play That Song For Me by Aretha Franklin. And it's like I do it in concert, and I say to the people, this is originally recorded by the incomparable Aretha Franklin, and I just say it so they know. I don't think I'm even coming close to the way Aretha sang this, but this is my tribute to her.
They do a little bit of it in the SNL rehearsal, I believe, as well.
Yes, they do.
I don't think she really sings it. I think one of the backup singers
really
do.
Sing it.
Yeah, but it was probably done more than once.
Because I think the showcase that we're all talking about, I think it was actually done in like 2 or 3 cities, like the major cities, New York, L.A., New York
showcasing. Yes.
Right.
But it was just for like the label people, and then they filmed one of them, I think the New York one, and that's what ended up on the home video.
Right. Okay.
So all of that was sort of happening around then. And then I think that's the only time that she would be performing it. Like she's not on the set list for like anything else.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Or albums.
Right. Correct. Now let's talk about how Mariah killed that. And we were just talking about how when Aretha does a song or a cover of a song, like it's her own. And for the longest time, even though Mariah introduces that song as like, this is like an Aretha song and I could never even come close to doing it her way, the way that Mariah sings that song, to me, I'm like, girl, this is the version, honey.
Yeah.
The version. That does it for me because I'm a Mariah girl. You know what I mean?
I'm in your boat.
I know, but we're just saying. I'm sure Mariah would disagree with Martin and I.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm just sitting here smiling and nodding, not saying anything for good reason. Picking and choosing my battles.
I would also say, if we go back to American Idol Season 1, Kelly Clarkson did that song, and she did it the way Mariah did it. So I'm just saying, like, through Mariah, Aretha was even reaching, even though Kelly Clarkson obviously loves and listens to Aretha, but like the younger generation.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that Kelly Clarkson had that first vision VHS, and she was in her bedroom with her microphone singing.
Yeah.
Or her hairbrush.
You know what's interesting is that when Mariah did the cover of Aretha's song, she didn't try to mimic her. She made it her own version of it.
Right.
Because look at how when Ariana was kind of coming up, she covered Emotions, but mimicked it. She didn't like make it an Ariana song.
Right. She brought nothing new to it.
Exactly.
There was none of her personality or her stylings put into it. And that's what, Aretha would do with music. She like breathes it in.
Right.
And then exhales it all for us. And it's like a whole new thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's how you got to cover songs. Otherwise, what's the point?
Which is what Aretha does. She'll take someone else's song and put her stylings on it, and now it's a whole new thing.
Yeah. Well, and if you've ever heard the Otis Redding version of Respect, it's very, very different, even in terms of the tempo and in terms of, it's completely different from there's no spelling of the word in it either. That was Aretha.
Oh.
So, she came up with that whole thing. And that's, she doesn't get, I feel like, Aretha gets credit as a singer, obviously. No question. She doesn't get credit as an arranger because she had an impeccable ear for arrangement, especially vocal arrangement. And she does not get her credit as a piano player because Aretha was a absolutely brilliant piano player who was self-taught, played by ear, and could not read music.
Well, to be self-taught,
self-taught is, I play piano. The piano is not an easy instrument to play. And so to play with the ability...
Just your ear,
just to be able to hear something and be able to sit down at the piano and imitate it. there have been moments where I've been able to do that once or twice, but to have that be the way that you learned how to play, if that's not genius, I don't know what is.
It's once again speaks to the brilliance of Aretha. Like, not very many people can do that.
No.
Not only that, but to have that self-taught skill. I was just watching Nightline, or 2020 did a feature on Aretha, and they talked about how she ended up, towards the end of her life, taking classical music lessons from a Juilliard teacher.
She did.
So she took her self-taught skill and then jumped into classical.
And added more.
And she was just as eager to learn, and she
could do it.
Yeah.
She could transfer that.
Well, and the very last video of her that I've seen to date, her granddaughter posted a video of her from March. And it's the last. It's a little dark and it's a little grainy, and I guess they have that filter now where you can make it look like an old VHS tape or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's got that over it, but she's sitting there at the piano and she's playing very, very lightly Nessun Dorma, the opera song.
Yeah.
And I'd never have seen her actually sit and play. I had never seen her play piano while singing that. I saw her sing it live quite a few times, but I never saw her at the piano doing it. But it was just very, she had a style to her piano playing. There was something stylistic that I haven't been able to properly articulate yet, but there was just a style that she had.
That's what I'm playing is gospel to me. This, as compared to the gospel, to me has a lot more movement to it and a lot more of what I feel is soul. A lot more feeling. It says more than this. This is,
All through the beginning of Mariah's career, she would always be asked as like this young, brand new girl, who's your favorite singer? And Mariah would always say Aretha. Aretha,
and Stevie.
And Stevie in every interview. And still to this day she does as well.
Well, I have a brother and sister who are 9 and 10 years older than me, and we're always listening to Stevie Wonder or Aretha or Gladys Knight or, some great soul singer, and that's just what I listened to, and that's what I loved, and that's the music that, I gravitated towards.
The world has idolized Aretha Franklin. Whether singers know that they're influenced by her or not, they are. Any female singer singing any type of R&B music is influenced by her, whether they're via somebody else or just her.
So we know that like Mariah had this admiration, like more so than the general person or, Paula Abdul's next door, because there was such an influence. And even Mariah, when she had posted on her Instagram or Twitter or social media about how she was inspired from Aretha because Aretha taught her you could sing whatever you wanted to sing and you could take God with you. Because I think that's one of the reasons why Mariah started liking Aretha and that style of music, because Aretha was amazing in the gospel. And Mariah loved the gospel.
Well, and she never, the thing with Aretha that was so magnanimous is that, one, she managed to cross from this from the spiritual world of music to the secular world seamlessly, so to speak. I mean, there were, you had people like Sam Cooke recorded some of his first records under a different name because he was afraid of, and then received a significant amount of backlash for crossing over. Ray Charles received a significant amount of backlash for crossing over. But for some reason, when Aretha did it, she was embraced. And part of that, her father was one of the most well-known pastors in the Baptist church. So that definitely helped. But also, she had the gospel in her at all times. That's part of what made Aretha so significant, is that she helped blaze the trail for creating the soul music that we know is gospel influenced. And that is a crucial piece of her legacy, because there was, she would always say, people would ask her about, what it's like, when you're singing spiritual versus secular. And she's like, church is always with me. I never left the church. I took the church with me everywhere. Mm-hmm. And even, in 72, when she put out, after, she becomes big in 67 and, has this just immaculate string of hits and albums that are now considered blueprints for soul music. And then in 72, she's like, you know what, we're going to go back to church, and goes and does Amazing Grace, which is, by the way, her greatest selling album. And I think the best selling live gospel album of all time as well. And, does this double LP of her singing gospel music in the church. But it's magnanimous because she brings her band with her to record this album. So it's not even like she's doing, it's not even like she just went straight up and went back to gospel. Like it's coming full circle. She's influenced by the church and goes into secular music and brings that with her, and then goes back and brings some of the secular that she's taken with her. And, to speak to exactly what it is that she did on that album, there's a mashup of Precious Lord, which was the song, one of the first songs she ever was recorded singing at the age of 14. And it's a mashup of Precious Lord and Carole King's You've Got a Friend. Mashup, and she starts singing it, and as she's about to go into the hook, she goes back into Precious Lord, and she just straddles the two throughout this 6-minute rendition. There's also a brilliant cover of Marvin Gaye's Holy Holy on there. I always say that I think that her best singing is on that album. Like vocally, if you want to hear Aretha sound her absolute best vocally, you listen to Amazing Grace. There are riffs and stuff there that shake you to the core. I listen to them, and you're just shaken by the hair stands up.
And it's a live album.
It was recorded live in a church in Los Angeles.
Oh, wow. I wonder what Mariah thinks of that album.
I think that's...
Someone should ask her. I'm sure it's like her...
Well, what she said is, being able to bring God with me wherever I went. I think that is one of... I think that is probably what should... Like, I saw that and I said to myself, she's talking about Amazing Grace.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I bet it is.
Now, in the same statement, like Mariah mentions that Aretha taught her that she can sing the music that she wants to sing. Mariah can sing those songs.
That's it.
Watching the 2020 special, I didn't realize that Aretha had a similar experience to Mariah, where the record label was forcing her to have a particular style.
Right, because she was with Columbia Records first.
Yeah, she was with, and a lot of people don't realize that. And it's big when you come to this, because this could never, ever happen in today's music industry. But Aretha Franklin signed to Columbia Records in 1960 and was signed there until 1966. She put out 10 albums on that label and didn't really achieve the success that she would go on to achieve and that everyone knew she could achieve, because
they were trying to shape her almost like they're doing to Mariah
right
career.
They were trying to turn her into a kind of jazzy pop, jazzy type of a singer. and it just wasn't the right fit for her. It just didn't sit well. And so then when she left Columbia after having no hits, because Aretha wanted hits.
Yeah.
She's famously quoted saying, we wanted hits. We weren't getting the hits. She left Columbia and went to Atlantic Records and signed with Jerry Wexler, who was I think he was the VP of the label. And he was also the producer who produced many of those iconic songs. He had been watching Aretha. He had the first gospel album that came out when she was 14. And he was just like, I know what Aretha needs to be successful. She just needs to sit down at the piano and play. And that's really how the first single from her Atlantic years is I Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You. And it was her first million seller. And it was her first hit.
There you have it. You got to let the people with the music in them do what they need, and then it will connect with the people.
Yeah. It was just let her sit down at the piano, let her play.
Now, you were saying her first big hit with Arista Records was Atlantic.
Sorry.
I don't know. That's why you're here, to correct me. But let's fast forward and go through the timeline, because when did then Chain of Fools come up?
Chain of Fools was the next year.
Was the following year.
Yeah, so it was... No, you know what? So it was... I'm sorry. So it was I Never Loved a Man, Aretha Arrives, which had Baby I Love You, Lady Soul, which has Chain of Fools, Since You Be Gone, Ain't No Way, which, by the way, I believe is an LGBT anthem because her sister, who was gay, wrote it. And if you read those lyrics back, it's
like... gay sister?
Girl.
Her baby sister Carolyn was gay.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't a highly publicized thing because this was the 60s and Carolyn died in the 80s. So it wasn't, Aretha was the last sibling, and I'm sorry, I'm jumping around. Aretha was the last sibling standing. She was one of 4 with her parents, with both of her parents. She had a half-brother who was older, but she was the last one standing. Her sister and brother... One of her sisters and brother both died very near to each other in the late 80s. Yeah. And then her other sister died in 2002. So anyway, circling back. So if you go read the lyrics, like everyone who's listening, go read the lyrics of Ain't No Way. And keep in mind the complicated relationships we LGBT folk have with our straight counterparts. And those who are not as... woke. Open and because the whole song is Ain't No Way for Me to Love You If You Won't Let Me.
Right. And I know of that song. Again, I'm not well versed in her discography, but I remember that song because I think on like a Spotify playlist or something like that, or just like something that Mariah had curated of some of her favorite songs, and that was on it, and I was like, I've never heard this Aretha song before.
Oh God, that song is...
I played it, and I was like, all right, but I never looked at it in that way.
No, and you know what? It took me, because I didn't know that her sister was gay until there's a book that famous Aretha interview with the Wall Street Journal where we got all those, we got Gowns, Beautiful Gowns.
The shady moments.
Right. She, the book came out, and this is taste. So the man who wrote the book, David Ritz, is one of the most famous and well-respected biographers of rock and roll, so to speak. He co-wrote Sexual Healing with Marvin Gaye. He was working on Marvin Gaye's autobiography, which he turned into a biography after Marvin died. And he did everybody's autobiographies. Etta James's is brilliant. He did Jerry Wexler's, and he did Aretha's autobiography with Aretha. But then he did this book, and the stories are night and day.
What's the book that he was writing? What's it called?
So the book the biography is called Respect, the Life of Aretha Franklin. Her autobiography is called Aretha from These Roots.
Right, that's the one I know. I never read it, but I know that one.
And so that came out in 1999, and Respect came out in 2014.
Oh, okay.
Or 15.
So that's
But the stories are night and day.
In what way?
You think the more recent one is more truthful?
It's Aretha, and I want to choose my words very carefully here as to be respectful, but Aretha liked to tell the story that she wanted to tell, and it wasn't always... I don't want to say it wasn't always the truth, but she had a way of glossing over things.
Right.
She's a private person, and
very, very private person, and that's all because in interview, I didn't realize this until this weekend. She was the first black female entertainer on the cover of Time magazine in '68, and in that story, it is mentioned that her husband at the time, Ted White, roughed her up. And that was the singular thing that completely put her off to all press.
All press and the media and all of that kind of stuff.
Right. And so, we all like to gloss over certain things. But Aretha she was so private that she really glossed over and was able to as well. And I don't say that in a offensive manner, but, because she was so private, it was easier for her to gloss over things that, may have been considered, were considered salacious. This is a woman who had 2 children by 2 different men at the age of 16, the preacher's daughter.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And left those children with her grandmother while she pursued her career. Mm-hmm. These are things that people, you say it like that and it sounds so horrible. And not to say that it's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's just not, she didn't discuss that. She never named who those boys' fathers were. Mm-hmm. Ever, ever, ever. The names are in the book that he wrote, the biography.
Okay, so he was just saying the things that she wasn't going to say.
He said, and he also had extensively interviewed all of her siblings, which are gone now, but all of her siblings, which are gone now. And there's extensive interviews with all of them, which is jarring. And then family members who are alive, too, who can confirm these stories. And, it's, the one thing is that I feel like it doesn't properly highlight her as a humorous person, which is the one thing that I've been hearing and I knew she was funny. She could, she used to crack jokes at concerts. She would tell jokes at concerts too, but her humor doesn't come through in that, there's it presents her as an insecure, cold type of a person. And that not entirely, but that's whereas the autobiography just presents her as the lady next door. Which is what she liked to think she was. And I believe that she was. Even like I watched the video that I was just talking about that her granddaughter put up of her playing the piano and singing in March. And there's a warmness to, like, she looks at the camera and just goes, mwah, to her granddaughter who's filming it, who giggles. And it's like there's a warmness there that you can't fabricate. Mm-hmm. And so that, I feel like that doesn't come through a lot in this book. It's a portrayal.
Well, it seems like she's almost like Mariah when she's in the media, in the public space. She kind of creates a character.
A little. I just think that she just kind of, tries to be as far away from it as she can. And when she's there, she's guarded.
Well, she also seems like if you're having an interview with her, don't fuck with her.
No,
like,
don't even...
She has that presence about her, like, all right, I'm not going to push these buttons.
Well, that's, they ask her, the guy starts to mention the book even in that interview, and she just goes, lies, lies, and more lies. Uh-huh. It's pure trash. Mm-hmm. And that's it. And she's done,
He knows too, like, okay.
Yeah. She was an authority. Uh-huh. It was, you didn't, if she looked at you a certain way, you didn't, because that's she this is a woman who literally and figuratively demanded respect, and she got it.
Yeah.
It was Miss Franklin until you were told otherwise. You call her Aretha? No, it's Miss Franklin. It's like, yes, Miss Franklin, of course. Why would I even think to call you anything other than that? To call you by your first name when I don't even know you that well. Mm-hmm. How disrespectful. That's what, Aretha commanded that respect, long before Lauren, I feel like that's something that Lauryn Hill got from her, where it's like, no, it's not Lauren, it's Miss Hill. Uh-huh. And, commanding that type of respect, command the respect that you deserve.
Yeah. Right.
And you will get it.
And that's so interesting that you're bringing that up, because I remember when they were doing Chain of Fools at the very end of the song, Mariah's like, Aretha, Queen of Soul, and Aretha at the end says Miss Carrie, and then she says Mariah.
Yeah.
So she gives that respect to others.
She does,
that she would want on her own as well. Mm-hmm. And this just goes to show she can have all kinds of different facets or aspects of her personality. Whether she is funny, she's authoritative, she's diva-ish, she's all these things, but she's respectful as well. And she's not going to ask nothing from nobody that she's not willing to give as well.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And that again is why she's the queen.
Exactly.
And lovable.
And right, and likable.
And a role model. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We love that. I love everything about that. Also, that performance of Chain of Fools, you sort of see, a little bit of her, funnier or comedic or like stage presence come out when she's getting all sexy and doing her body roll. And I was like, all right, Mama Aretha, all right.
No,
she's having fun and she's really
she was
enjoying
a
herself.
Performer, like I was saying before too, back in the 70s, just for laughs, she used to do a whole impressions medley in the middle of her show. And she would do Diana, and she would do Gladys, and she would do Mavis. And it was just like, okay, it was just like, and she had like, it's so funny. Like she has this pink boa thing that she does when she's doing Ain't No Mountain High Enough, and, you know, like imitating Diana and imitating them not only like visibly but vocally. I mean, the Gladys one is wild to hear her like do Gladys. Basically, it's hysterical.
It shows that she has a sense of humor.
She
and
does.
She's not, you know, taking everything so seriously, even though when it's time for business, it's time for business.
Yeah.
I think that's something that Mariah also gets from her, you know, that we see is, you know, Mariah likes to keep it lighthearted and fun, and she's in on the joke. She gets it. Everyone wants to paint her, as they do, especially in the more recent years of Aretha, as being like, you know, this diva who doesn't, you know, want to like show respect for anybody, or like, you know, is shady here and shady there. Yes, but that's all in fun as well. You know, you're a performer, whether you're on the stage or sitting in front of a journalist for a magazine. You want to give them something, because if you're sitting there and you got no personality,
and you're saying, good singer, I like that, that's good, very nice, it's not
no
fun,
one wants to hear
no
that.
one cares,
nobody cares. So people, you know, they take these things that, you know, they see celebrities do, and they just run with them, and then all of a sudden they're now painted as that person,
right?
And it's unfair, because, you know, then you're like tied into a box of like what you are perceived as.
But I think for Aretha, like those shady comments about Taylor Swift has beautiful gowns and passing on Nicki Minaj, I don't think it hurt her image. It was like,
no, not at all.
Oh, no,
But,
if
you know,
anything,
like, people
that
run with it as her being like this shady, you know, bitchy woman, and that's not the. She's being very nice with those comments.
I mean,
yes,
very nice.
You ain't said nothing but a word.
It's kind of similar to Mariah's "I don't know her" comment. Like it was just there, and then all of a sudden, people took it and it grew and became a thing,
and it becomes this
just like Aretha's shade. Like it's there.
If you want to last in the business for as long as someone like Mariah or even Aretha, who was 50 some years, is that
so? First recordings
56?
56, signed to the label in 60, so 58 years.
58 years. You got to know how to be playful with the press and also have your guard up as well. I mean, that's just the juggle that you have to play with. And Mariah does it. Everybody does it. Everyone who's smart and has a long-term career does it, because that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
But I feel like the general public, because they are, you know, blinded to Hollywood, they don't see that that's what's actually happening. You know?
Oh, yeah.
It's like looking behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz. Like, oh, this is what it is? Oh, okay.
We didn't talk about this earlier, but Mariah and Carole King worked together for
If It's Over.
If It's Over on the Emotions album. How many songs did Carole King and Aretha do together? Was it just the one?
Well, Natural Woman was the one written for her, but there's at least one other song, and I forget the title of it. I was just looking at credits last night, that she sang of. Like, I mean, and she also has sang You Got a Friend during Amazing Grace, and also they did Tapestry Revisited in the mid-'90s, and Aretha sang You've Got a Friend with BB and CeCe Winans. And I believe that's it.
Okay.
I believe.
So
we got that connection.
There's that whole connection going on with that.
Fast forward to Mariah at Divas Live singing those songs.
Right.
Natural Woman. And Carole King is there as well. So it's almost like a full circle reconnection with Mariah and Carole King. Yeah.
Because If It's Over, what a beautiful song. Mariah didn't perform it there, but still you can't think of, like, you know, Mariah and Carole and not think of If It's Over.
Well, now, Mariah singing Aretha songs was one thing, but it went the other way around. We had Aretha singing Mariah songs a couple of times.
Yes, let's talk about that.
Which one do you want to start with?
Let's start with the big one.
What's the big one?
Hero.
I think they're both big.
Now, why did Aretha sing Hero?
She was paying tribute to Andrew. What was
Andrew.
it?
She was paying tribute to Jesse Jackson.
Jesse Jackson.
At, I believe it was the 1994 Essence Awards.
There's a hero. If you look into your heart, you don't have to be afraid of what you are. There is an answer. If you look into your soul, all the sorrow that you feel will melt away. And then a hero came along with the strength to carry on. And you cast your fears aside, 'cause you know you can't survive. And when you feel all hope is gone, Look inside you and be strong, and you'll finally know the truth, that a hero lies in you. It's a long road when you face the world alone. No one reaches out a hand for you to hold. You can find love if you look into yourself. Oh, the sorrow that you feel will melt away. Then a hero with the strength to carry on. And you cast your fears aside, 'cause you know you can't survive. And when you feel all is gone, hold inside you and be strong, and you'll finally know the truth, that a hero lies in you. Lord knows it's a hard to follow. Don't let anyone tell you there will be tomorrow. Anytime you find a way. That a hero lies in you.
I want to go back to a moment at the Divas Live that, like, I sort of like now looking at it, it looks really like, oh my God, it's almost like we know that Aretha loves Mariah already because she brought her out on stage and they did the duet and everything. But when they're all up there at the end and they start singing, the big gospel number, and, Celine is over there.
Aretha breaks into the big gospel number that was not even planned for the show.
Right.
But clearly rehearsed, because she just turns around and goes, all right, take it on home. And they go.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
I
popped.
That's that's what they do on a nightly basis. But at one point, as everyone else is like fluttering around the stage, trying to like show off, Mariah's over towards the backup singers. And Aretha comes over and sort of puts her arm around Mariah and is like, let's sing, girl. Like,
she sees her
you're
singing.
the only one who's going to do anything here. So it's almost like she was almost like saying, like, come out into the forefront, like stop hiding back there, because like
she was like, come here for a minute, sweetie, like I got you.
Yeah,
come here.
Thing. Like the credits are rolling, so like blah blah blah, but like you can see that Aretha sort of acknowledges Mariah again, saying like, girl.
Yeah, well, they clearly must have had some type of talk about God beforehand when they were,
Oh, I'm sure.
And we sat in the trailer and talked a little girl talk and laughed. We had fun.
I love that we know every word for word.
I mean,
the divas.
I've been studying. I mean, I've been listening to that for 20 years.
20 years, as have I, obviously. It's such a magical event, that whole entire night, and to have them all there, it will never be recreated. Never be recreated.
Absolutely not.
And that was in 1998. Now, that was also the year that Aretha was releasing Rose is Still a Rose.
Yes, that's why she was on the show. She was, and that's, like I was saying to you guys before, me becoming a fan in that year was the, greatest stroke of luck in the world, because she was so present in that year. So every time she did something, my parents, popped the VHS in and taped it for me. So that's, how I saw that. She was on Regis and Kathy Lee. I have that video. She was on Rosie. I have that video.
But there have been many, many times that Mariah and Aretha have been at the same places together, maybe not performing together, but always sort of running into each other, like the BET Honors, where Mariah was honored, or even the White House Christmas tree lighting. Yeah. They both performed separately. Where else have they been that we're not thinking of?
Actually, I was just rewatching, because I'm rewatching everything Aretha now, and also a lot of gems are starting to bubble up, which is things that I've been looking for years are suddenly just readily available. But I was watching an interview where she talks about Mariah a little bit for a minute or two. It's one of the ones, it's been out there. It's one of the ones from right around Idol, before Idol started, and they were, had announced that Mariah was one of the judges, and Aretha wanted to be a judge. And she talks about Mariah, and she was like, I think Mariah will be a good fit. I like Mariah. She's a very gracious girl. We met many years ago at the Grammys, and she came up to me and introduced herself to me, and very, very gracious. And that's what she said about it. So I guess that was when they first, it won, like in the
early Grammys, like early 90s.
I'm trying to think it might have been 90, actually, because I think Aretha performed at that year's Grammys.
I feel like I know that story. Mariah Mariah met Aretha for the first time there.
Yeah.
Right. But but that just being gracious carries with you for so long. So I'm sure the next time Aretha saw her, even if it had been years, and 1998 Divas was the next time they saw each other, she remembered, and she was like, girl, let's get together.
Gratitude goes a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember when people are really good to you and when people are really bad to you.
Right.
And so, if you're that sort of gracious, it's going to stick, especially someone like Aretha, who is all about respect. That's going to stick with her. That this is someone who is extremely, extremely respectful to me.
Yeah. And, and it goes hand in hand, the two women, they are the same in so many ways.
Same but different. They're not competing.
Exactly. Oh, there would be no. Mariah so many times has said, don't even put me in the category with Aretha Franklin. Like, don't even try it. I remember Mariah saying, like, with the divas, I think we mentioned it a little bit earlier, but she was, you're not going to stand there and try to riff with the Queen of Soul.
You revere her and stand in the back like I was.
Exactly.
With the background singers.
Yeah.
Right? Where one belongs. But it just goes that there is so much mutual respect between those two women.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's talk about the second time Aretha covered Mariah.
Oh, yes, we forgot that.
Let me tell you, I'm to this day so angry because I had seen her a couple months beforehand.
No, Aretha was on tour when this happened, right?
She was on tour. Yeah, this was at a show in D.C. I believe it was performed twice. Aretha covered Mariah. She covered Touch My Body.
Which is... to know that's
one
a
of
joke.
The most random, hysterical things, because you are not thinking Aretha Franklin is going to be talking about touch my body, throw me on the floor, wrestle me around.
Right. Yeah.
But I think, number one, Aretha could recognize that it's like a great melodic song.
It's a jam.
And number two, that it's the lyrics are so ridiculous, but so fun. And Aretha wanted to have some fun.
But
she wanted to have let's have like a little, sexy talk.
Goof around a little bit.
It's a testament to her comedic prowess.
Well, you have to watch the video. Yeah, you have to watch the video because she's making like facial expressions.
Yeah,
like,
no,
oh my God,
she's going way over the top.
She at once, she does the "I will hunt you down," and she like does it very like "I will hunt you," and like has like her, her hand going back and forth as if she's like got a knife in her hand. And then she's even. She does. I forget what lyrics she sings, but she sings them, and she just she puts the mic to her chest and just like rolls her eyes. She's like,
I think it's like the best of
she
me
says something
around
about
or
Mariah. Like Mariah's not going to be having me sing those lyrics and like skips a few of them. And then at the end of the video, and we don't even have the full performance either.
I know.
Which is
I know.
But because the end of the video, the last thing that happens is she goes, you know, all up in my business like a Wendy interview. And then she just goes, how you doing? And then she does like the Wendy, like, how you doing? And
she
looks
did?
directly.
I never noticed
looks
that.
directly at the camera, and that's when it cuts off.
Oh,
It's like,
no way.
All right, I've been seeing him out. Bye.
Well,
Good old Aretha.
she's going to be missed. You know, I'm sure Mariah's going to miss her horribly.
I know.
terribly.
It'll be interesting to see in the near future any other sort of accolades that Mariah or respects that Mariah pays.
Well, look at how on New Year's Eve when Mariah just performed, after Mariah performed, she threw to Ryan Seacrest and said, Aretha would never perform under these conditions.
Right.
Like, still referencing her.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because Aretha was, when she would find someone like Mariah, she would teach them, like, this is it. This is the business. This is how it goes. This is how you take care of your voice. This is how you do things. Because she wanted to share with the new generation.
And she was that,
like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or
She
if
was
you were
that person.
Ashanti calling her up and telling her, wash your hands, baby, and get the hell out of here so you don't catch the SARS.
What?
Okay,
yes,
y'all
I
gotta
did see
go.
that.
Go look at the Ashanti Instagram post because it is. But I know that we're short on time. But the one thing I do want to just tell everybody to just kind of do is you're exploring Aretha is first of all dig it. And the woman had 40 albums, 40 studio albums.
That's
so
a lot.
dig in.
Yeah.
But On a Rose is Still a Rose, do a little bit of research because she did work with some of Mariah's people. JD produced 2 songs, one of which being a song called Here We Go Again, which Trey co-wrote. And then also dig, and you won't find this on Spotify or anything, but Aretha did, I don't know how in God's name they got her to do it, but did some dance remixes to actually that song, Here We Go Again, which David Morales produced. And Aretha re-sang her vocals for that. So
she basically got Mariah's crew.
she basically, it's like
Jermaine, Trey, David Morales.
Yep.
Come on this way.
Yeah, no, it's, and it's just staggering that it's, we are so spoiled with Mariah and these dance remixes, and that's, to me, a remix is that's a remix. A remix is a new version of the song with new vocals.
Right.
And so to hear Aretha doing that is, when I recognized that those were new vocals, I was just, and she's goofing around too, during the Here We Go Again, she's going, I am pissed.
Oh, really?
Right, like, and just saying it like that, and it's just wild. And even, the other song that she did dance remix and new vocals was A Rose Is Still a Rose, which Lauryn Hill wrote. And the dance remix, she's just goofing around too, and it's just it's very akin to what Mariah used to say those mixes were to her.
Right, that
go
she
into
was
the
just
studio
going
with
and
my
having
glass
fun.
of Pinot Grigio and just vibe for 10 minutes.
Yeah, that was great. Great moments. All these little gems
Little
that you
things,
you would find out about Aretha, that because tell you, 50 years in the business, you're bound to find something that you've never seen before. Maybe not you, Andrew.
No, but that's, there are there are
more
things
people like
bubbling
us.
up that I've never seen, but and that's me saying it because you're talking about, and there are still things I'm looking for. She sang at the 69 Academy Awards. I've been looking for that video forever because for whatever reason, Funny Girl was nominated. Aretha sang Funny Girl. Barbara's chilling in the audience. Aretha is singing the nominated song. And I've never, like that, I'm putting it out in the universe. I want to see that video so badly.
Surface
It'll
now.
come up.
Now it's
right.
bound to, right?
Yeah, because
someone's got it.
So, the Academy's got it. They just got to let me come through and say it. And even there's a whole...
Just me.
Even that Amazing Grace, that album, that monumental album was filmed. Sidney Pollack, who played, I would say, best way, Sidney Pollack, who played Will's dad on Will and Grace, directed that, and that footage has never come out. But
R.I.P. Aretha.
I know.
She's going to be missed.
Yeah, we can't cover everything in here, so I implore all the listeners to go out.
Dig in.
If you haven't already discovered some of the gems, dig in and find those gems, because there's so much out there for Aretha. And relive those moments with Mariah. And thank you, Andrew.
Anytime. And
Friend to the show. You're always welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
If anybody wants to dig in more on Aretha, come see about me. Because
how can people people find you? You're a great writer, especially
Thank
for
you.
music. If anyone's a big fan of music, you do a lot of great articles and reviews on things. So tell people how they can find you.
So I write for established in 1997, est1997.com. I have recently rejoined the social media world, so you can catch me on the Instagrams and the Twitter.
All those good things.
At Soul Atlantic, which, again, my name is, my handle's inspired by Aretha.
There you have it.
Yeah, and you'll know it's me because I just got, I changed all my handles are all at Soul Atlantic, but my name is now Aretha Made Me, which is on Thursday when she passed away, I went and got Aretha Made Me tattooed on me.
Oh,
and my first tattoo.
Oh, hardcore fan there.
Yeah,
it was a moment.
I was overcome.
Moment.
I didn't. Yeah. It was the only thing that I felt I could do in that moment. So I went and got my first tattoo, and it's Aretha.
monumental moment.
Just.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening. We love, appreciate, and enjoy you. If you want to support the show, you can go to Apple Podcasts /iTunes. Leave us a review. We love those.
You can also go to patreon.com. That's patreon.com/The Mariah Report and pledge as little as $1, and that supports the show as well.
And you'll get all kinds of exclusive content, plus more talk with Andrew.
Yeah, on Unplugged over there.
That's a conversation.
Yes, darling.
Oh, I came for wigs.
All right, guys.
Bye,
Thanks.
guys.
We will see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.